Welcome to another tutorial where we will be making this simple but beautiful design. To create the adjustable band for this ring, we will be using an 18 gauge solid brass wire. Then we will use this 22 gauge wire to secure the beads onto the ring. I chose 4mm seed beads. Next we have a ring mandrel and I chose a size 8 for this ring. Using a file is very important for this design, and then we also will be using a ruler. For this ring, we will be using the nylon jaw pliers, we also need the wire cutters, and then we will be using the chain nose pliers. To begin, we'll take the 18 gauge wire and run it through the nylon jaw pliers to straighten out a length. Then we will place it onto the ruler, and for a ring that is size 8, we are going to use about 2.5 inches. Holding the wire onto the ruler, we'll make that mark with our fingers and then cut off the 2.5 inches with the wire cutters. Then taking the file, we want to make sure both ends of the wire are very smooth and rounded over, so take your time filing it down. After we have filed both ends of the wire, we are then going to place it onto the ring mandrel and shape the ring. Press the wire firmly onto the ring mandrel. I also find it super helpful to use the handle of a pair of pliers that has that rubber coating on it and use that to press down the ends of the wire, as it makes it a lot easier on our fingers to flatten the end of the wire. Holding the wire firmly on the mandrel, we can see that the ends overlap. I want the ends to be flush, so I'm going to trim off a little bit. Because we had to trim the wire, we need to go back with the file and smooth down that end. Smoothing the end of the 22 gauge wire, we will then place it onto the band of the ring, and I'm going to allow about 1/4 of an inch or maybe a little bit more to begin wrapping and securing that 22 gauge wire on the ring. Holding both wires securely, use your fingers to wrap that short end of the wire around the ring. When the wire becomes too stiff to keep wrapping with our fingers, we'll switch to the chain nose pliers and finish securing that wrap on the ring with the pliers. Hold this wire as tightly as you can as you wrap it around so that it is very firmly secured onto the band of the ring. Once you have reached the end of the wire, take your pliers and squeeze the wrap from end to end, tightening the coil together. You can make this wrapping as wide or as narrow as you would like. Once you are satisfied with the length of it, cut off the extra wire. And now we can add the beads. With the wrapping securing the beads onto the ring, you can add as many or as few beads as you would like. To add the beads, gently twist the ends of wire side to side. Don't pull it straight apart, but rather twist the wires side to side and then slip on as many beads as you would like. Using an odd number of beads is pleasing to the eye because that odd number, so for me I have 5 beads, that third bead right in the middle is very pleasing to the eye to have that centered in the middle like that, so you could keep that in mind as you add beads. And on that note, make sure that your beads are centered at the top of your ring before you go back with your chain nose pliers to secure that wrap so that it doesn't slide around. Then straightening out and filing the end of the 22 gauge wire, we are going to create a second wrap on the other end of the beads. Depending which way is easier for you, you can either wrap that short end of the wire up towards the beads or down towards the base of the ring. Leaving about 1/4 inch of wire, we will then wrap that wire around the band of the ring, wrapping it tightly and securing the beads onto the ring. Again, once the wire becomes too stiff to keep wrapping it with our fingers, we'll switch to the chain nose pliers to finish securing it onto the ring. Don't forget to squeeze the wrap from end to end so that we tighten that coil together. Take your time securing the wrap onto the ring so that it doesn't move and no longer shifts up and down the band. Once you feel it is secure, you can take the wire cutters and snip off the extra wire. If the coils still want to slide around, go back with the chainless pliers to again tighten them down. You also want to make sure that none of the ends of the wrappings are sticking out, so make sure you tighten down all of those. And then squeezing the coils sort of at an angle from end to end seems to work really well to clamp that wrapping down onto the other wire. And now you have completed the ring. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.